So about a week ago, I went out to get some vegetables for my tortoises, and as I was buying the vegetables, there was this man with a barrow full of mangoes, and he passed by me, and I just thought, oh, I would love to buy his mangoes. So I called him and I asked him how much his mangoes were, and told me how much they were. I can't remember. I think it was 100 naira for one because they were pretty small mangoes. 100 naira for one. So I just thought, okay, I will have five. And so he took out a nylon bag and he started putting in the mangoes, trying to select. I told him to select really good ones for me. So he started to select, and I realized that he had counted one, two, three, four, five. And instead of handing me the bag, he took one more and put it in the bag. So I had six. And he said, "That's just for you." And I was like, "Thank you," even though I'd asked him for five. So I paid for five but got six. And he went on his way, pushing his barrow. This man was not, you could tell that he was not particularly well educated, formally educated. His English wasn't that good. But then I was very impressed by the gesture of just giving me one extra, one over what I had asked for. And this happens a lot. This happens a lot. When you go to the open market, you have them give you something extra. Here in Abuja, we call it Jara. I think they call it Jara in Lagos or other, but it was very, is that one extra thing, an extra on top the official. But interestingly, today I went somewhere and I went to buy puff puff from a restaurant close to me. And I went there to buy puff puff because my wife had told me the kids want to eat puff puff. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll go out and I'll get puff puff. For those who don't know, puff puff is well, I don't know where you've been living, but puff puff is a pastry made of flour, really delicious stuff. It's like finger food. Very popular here. It makes up what we call small chops in Nigeria. So I went out to buy puff puff in this restaurant. Um, and when I got there, I told them I wanted to buy 20 puff puffs. And the lady took out a prong or some kind of picking utensil, and she started counting one, two, three, four, five, and she counted 20. And when she counted 20, she tied up the nylon bag and gave it to me. Now, she didn't count 19. She didn't count 21. She gave me exactly what I asked for. And I asked her, don't you guys give Jara here? And she laughed. And I laughed because I knew what the answer would be. They don't do that. I said, I can't do that. I don't do that, sir. No, my madam has counted every single thing here. And it has to balance at the end of the day. And I thought about it. Here is an establishment. And I bought 20 of these items. 20. And they couldn't give me one more. And here was this other guy. I asked for five out of a whole barrel full of mangoes. And he gave me six. What's the difference? Two people doing business. One business, very established. The other one goes day to day. But one is more generous than the other. In reality, if they had given me that one puff puff, it will have less impact on them than the one mango for that guy selling me the mango. Less impact. The company will not tilt because of one puff puff extra. The company will not fold up because of one puff puff extra. But you see, that man that sold me the mango, the next person that buys mangoes from him, he's going to pretty much do the same thing. At the end of the day, he can give up about 10 extra mangoes. 10 as Jara. In a week, let's say he gives 10 every single day. In a week, he's going to be given about 70 mangoes as jara. When you think about it, it's a really incredibly generous thing this man is doing. And that's one thing I've come to realize, that as you move further up north in Nigeria, generosity is more palpable. Generosity is more noticeable. I used to live in Lagos, which is further south, which is down south in Nigeria. I lived in Lagos for about 19 to 20 years. Generosity wasn't really a thing. It wasn't. But as we moved up to Abuja, which is not core north, but more north than Lagos, I go around and I move with northerners, and I must commend northerners for this one thing. Northerners and Muslims, they understand something about generosity that Southerners and Christians do not understand. And that's what I realized, that, you see, with Muslims, they have a tenet, which I truly admire. A strong tenet in Islam is called zakat. It talks about generosity, the need to give. I see it every day when I go out, especially during fasting. During fasting, I observe something, that nobody goes hungry. As long as you are around other Muslim people, you cannot go hungry. I see people who do menial jobs, like fetching water, pushing the barrow, carrying trash. They never go hungry. In fact, there's a guy that comes to empty our trash. Every time he comes during fasting, he comes in the evening, he always has a bag full of something, whether akara, puff puff, a plastic bag full of rice. He always has a package in his hand. And when they asked him, where do you get this thing from? He says they just hand it over at the mosque. They just hand it out. And I was passing by the mosque. There's a mosque just down my street. I'm always impressed by how they give during fasting program. During their fasting, their I don't know whether it's their annual fasting, and I think they fast more than once a year. But every time there is a fasting declared, when they break fast, they break bread together. I see them share packs of food, share watermelon, fruits, and stuff to the poorest of the poor. Everybody gets something. And sometimes, there's a guy that lives down the road. I know he's a Christian. You understand? I know he's not a Muslim. But when they were fasting, I always see him go there, eat with them. He eats with them. I just saw him sitting right there, eating with them. Nobody pushed him away. He ate with them. And this is what the business person, the small business person, the trader, the petty trader understands up north. They understand the power of giving. And this is one of my frustrations with education. You see, down south, we've been educated out of our humanity. And so we copy a lot of Western life and see it as progress. We see it as how life should be lived, but it isn't. It actually isn't. We learn scarcity not from nature, but from school. Scarcity is what we learn from school, not from nature. Nature is giving. Nature is giving. Nature supplies. Scarcity is a concept that is learned amongst humans, especially educated humans, the so-called traditionally educated or formally educated humans. We learn it from school. When you go to school, we learn that only one person can be first in class, one person can be second, one person can be third. So we have constraints of positions. Somebody must be first and someone must be second. And this is where we learn scarcity from. This very, very, this practice of positioning teaches us scarcity. It teaches us competition. It teaches us to climb over others. I remember when I was in secondary school, there were these two boys. One of them was the most brilliant guy in the class. The guy was incredibly brilliant. Incredibly. I've never seen anybody as brilliant as him, even till today. Incredibly brilliant. But you see, he had this cousin who he was staying with. I think his family was staying pretty far away, so he had to stay with his cousin in Lagos to attend this school. Now, his cousin was not too, but was above average, but not as brilliant as the brilliant cousin that he had. And one day I had to ask this cousin of the brilliant guy. I said, "How come you're living with this guy? And sometimes he will come first in class, and you will come like fifth, sixth, seventh. Why? Why? Sometimes you come to class and they've given us an assignment and nobody's able to solve it, even you. But your cousin comes to class, he has solved the assignment, and the teachers are singing his praise as he's an exemplary student. He's the only one in class that will be able to solve that math problem. But you guys came from the same house. How are you not able to solve this math problem that this guy is able to solve coming from the same house? How? How are you still like us on the outside? You're on the inside with this guy. Why is he not rubbing off on you? I should believe that you guys do your assignments together. That's why I asked him. I was perplexed. I knew that I didn't understand it, but I didn't have a resource like this brilliant guy in my house. So I didn't understand why this other guy had this brilliant guy in his house and was still not being able to solve questions that others were not able to solve. And the guy told me something that I've never forgotten it. This was many years ago, over 20 years ago. Over 20, almost 30 years. This guy told me that's because this guy does his assignment when everyone has gone to bed. He said, "This my cousin, he would wait till everybody goes to bed. Everybody is deep asleep. Around 3:30 a.m., he will take out the book and do the assignment so that I don't get to see it." He said when he feels generous, he will do the assignment with me, but he will skip about 2 or 3 problems in the assignment and say he can't do it. And then by 3:30 a.m., he would wake up and do it. Because he knew that if he shared everything with me, his cousin, he would not have the opportunity to be first anymore. He would have to be joint first, which is not good enough. He knew that that position of first was only glorious when he had one person in it. This very young boy, at that point in time, we were like 13 or so, had learned scarcity and had learned to withhold. How sad. How sad. Such a brilliant guy, but yet such a sad perspective and approach to life. But he's not unique. It's the problem of education. We've all learnt it one way or the other, to withhold. That is something a lot of the uneducated people do not have. They've learned to give. That is why they are more blessed than we, the educated people. And someone might say, no, they're not more blessed. Come on. They're still living in small houses, don't have the best of clothes, they don't have cars. You are thinking of luxury. I'm talking about blessing. Luxury money can buy. Blessings money can't buy. You know what a blessing is? The blessing is a feeling of contentment. Money can't buy a feeling of contentment. A lot of people, the more they buy, the more unsatisfied they are. Their contentment doesn't last more than a day, 2 days, a week, a month at best. Then they are looking for the next version of that thing. Blessing is the ability to sleep at night and to sleep like a baby. Money cannot buy that. There are quite a number of people that have a lot of money but cannot sleep. They cannot sleep till they pop a pill in excess, not even in the normal dose. They can't sleep. Money cannot buy you sleep. Blessing is health, good health, vitality. You see, one thing we learned about COVID. When COVID came, so many people who were well-to-do, privileged people, cream of society, passed away from COVID. Even though they wore the face mask, they took the vaccines, passed away. I live in an area where there are so many less privileged people. I got to see that they walked around to like what seemed carelessly. They didn't even use face masks. They didn't wash their hands. Healthy, fit as a fiddle. You see, the human being is not made to withhold. We are made to release. Withholding destroys us as people. It doesn't work for us. It doesn't work in our advantage. It honestly doesn't. It destroys us. We are not made to withhold. Withholding is what causes a lot of sickness within us. That's why you see a lot of people in business. You think their businesses are doing well. Their businesses are actually doing well when you look at how profitable they are. But a lot of times you see that the people within the business, the people that founded the business, are not doing well. What's the problem? It's too much withholding. You see that they have strange diseases, cancers, tumors, migraines, heart problems, sugar level problems, problems you can never even imagine. They have it because they are withholding. It takes a lot of energy to withhold something. It relaxes us to release. The reason why a lot of educated people are not blessed, even though they might live in luxury, is because of this very simple scenario I painted. Somebody is able to give a mango extra. Somebody cannot give a puff puff extra. Somebody is saying, I will not cheat you, but you will also not cheat me. And the other person is saying, I see you and I appreciate you buying from me. So here is a symbol of my appreciation. Thank you for seeing me. It's more blessed to give than to receive. Unfortunately, it is the unenlightened, the so-called unenlightened, that understand this concept better than the enlightened, the so-called enlightened. The educated person has become clever, not wise. To be clever is to look out for yourself, save your own skin. To be wise is to look out for others, to make things better, to make other people feel better, and by so doing, realizes that makes you feel better at the end of the day. We need to do better. And I'm talking to someone out there doing business. Learn from the unlearned. That's why the Bible tells us, look at the ants, look at this, look at things that do not have an education, that just follow instinct. They do things better. They are better teachers. I hope someone from this can learn to give through your business, to understand that giving releases a blessing. Hoarding brings disease. My name is Tola, T.A. Alabi, and this is the TA Podcast.